Deafrowe here, and it's time for another review. And this week it's none other than one of my favorite horror/comedy movies, and one of the goriest movies ever made, in my opinion. 1992's Dead Alive, also known as Brain Dead. But before I get started on this review, remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell so you can see the other obscure and maybe not so obscure stuff that I watch later. And then you can go back and watch another Peter Jackson review that I did of Bad Taste on this channel here. But also go on over to After the Weekend and take a look at the review that all of us did on The Frighteners. And speaking of After the Weekend, coming up soon we'll be doing a review of Sleepy Hollow to basically top off the end of the spooky season this year of October. So, without further ado, let's get started on this review. 1992, Dead Alive. Let's go. As you can see here on Skull Island, southwest of Sumatra, 1957, we see I guess you could call him a zoo curator of sorts, because that's the reason he's got this monkey in a box or a crate, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, but the indigenous people are not all about, letting them take off with the freaking monkey of sorts. And so he grabs an Uzi and fires it at him. Like, hey, I'm taking my monkey, eh? I'm going to take it to the zoo. Don't pull out an Uzi on you. This is strange. It's like this zoo curator is packing some freaking heat. Anyway, they try to get away on the Jeep, but as they're driving away on the Jeep and making their escape with the old rat monkey, one of the other guys, the poachers or whatever, I guess you could call them poachers because that's what they're not really killing them, but they're trapping them. Trapper. There we go. Trapper. I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place. Anyway, he sees that the old zoo curator has a bite and a scratch mark all over him, and they're like, no, you can't do that. And they say something to the effect of Zendaya, and they see the bite and the scratches, and they're like, hey, you can't, you're gonna die because you got scratched. And like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why are you gonna take this monkey to the zoo if this is the kind of crap it could end up doing? But hey, let's get going, shall we? And so they cut off his hand at first because it has the scratch on his hand, and then they see the scratch on his shoulder and cut off his arm, and then they see the scratch on his head. They're like, wait, well, we got to cut off his head. Like, oh no, yeah. See, so you got the little like boo boo right there on the side of his arm. Right there. Okay, we got to cut that arm off too. And then they basically end up killing the zoo curator. I don't want to show everything. The arm being cut off is pretty awesome. I mean, there's so much gore in this movie. Even if I skip over a lot of it, you're still gonna see a lot of it. It's a gore fest. So yeah, as you see here, the trappers collect the money at the plane and send the monkey off to New Zealand. Hence starts Dead Alive, as you can see here. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, so yes. And we cut to Paquita, which is played by Diana. And if I say this last name wrong, I apologize, but it looks like Penovar. So if I said it wrong, apologize. Anyway, she's like fawning over this stock guy who's coming in with some products to put in their grocery store. But the grandma intervenes and said, "No, that's not the guy for you. Let's go read the cards and see who your guy is going to be," basically. And they go and review the cards, and she's like, "You'll see this type of symbol that lets you know this guy is the one for you," or whatever. And so, yeah, Lionel, in comes Lionel, and she's not really paying attention to Lionel. She's just kind of dismissive of him, pretty much. till he accidentally knocks over something on the counter, and she sees it. If I can cut to that spot here. Yeah, here we go. She sees it and she's like, "Oh, no, 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 don't pick it up." And she sees the sign that grandmother had showed her in the cards and realizes that he's the one that's supposed to be for her. As though she starts to kind of fawn over him a little bit and like basically follows him outside, and he's getting kind of freaked out and kind of like jumps on the bus as a means of escape. It was kind of funny. Did you see this right here? Yeah, like, I don't know how to deal with women. Anyway, yeah, he kind of starts off as like a Lionel's character kind of starts off as like a beta, and then you see later on he has to kind of man up and become the alpha. So that's kind of cool. That in my opinion, that's kind of a cool thing they do in this movie. Anyway, Lionel goes back to the house, and of course, the mother is overbearing type person that pretty much runs his entire life. And she's telling him, "Oh, I got some people coming over this Friday. This place needs to be cleaned up, and they're supposed to be awarding me something, for being in this club, and I did so much good work and all this other stuff, blah 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 blah. Let's get on with it." Anyway, Lionel's trying to appease her at every turn here, and then she's going around the house. "This place is filthy. It needs to be dusted and everything else, and blah blah blah." And then Paquita, of course, the mother sees the grass, and the grass looks almost perfect out there. It's like, "It needs to be mowed again." And he's like, "I just mowed it yesterday." And anyway, he goes outside to mow the grass because basically that's what she told him to do. Anyway, as he's mowing the grass, that's when Paquita comes up, and Paquita's like, "Yeah, I got it." She's like, "Can I help you with that?" Anyway, Lionel looks at her and is like, "Doesn't your brother usually deliver everything?" She's like, "I decided to do this time." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, of course." And then she acts like she has real, she kind of acts like she has real broken English, but it ain't really broken English, and tricks him into agreeing to take her on a date to the zoo. And of course, the mother starts acting up at this point because she sees this happening from the window. So Lionel sneaks out the next day to meet her at the zoo or whatever, and that's when they come across the weird ass monkey, the Sumatran rat monkey, and it's eating the arm of another monkey in the adjoining cage. It ripped it off and ripped it out of its socket. Some bitch is ugly as shit. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, the rat monkey is eating the arm here, as you can see, and the other monkey's going nuts. I'm like, hey. Anyway, of course, this zookeeper has no problem just banging on the dang cage and telling the rat monkey to, piss off, basically. And of course, the mother, being as overbearing as she is spying in on her son and the date at the zoo. And she gets a little bit too close to the cage that the rat monkey is, and the rat monkey takes a bite out of her arm, and she screams like a banshee. And of course, Lionel immediately recognizes that's his mom screaming and comes over to help her what's going on. And ends up leaving Paquita there because, oh, mom is in trouble, so I gotta take care of her, that type deal. And Lionel is played by Timothy Baum, by the way. If you don't know who Timothy Baum is, if you've ever seen the show, The Almighty Johnsons, he's one of the brothers in that show. It's a cool show. But anyway, back to what we were doing here. As you can see, they're back at the house that night, and Paquita is trying to, like, he basically left her there because, mother, with his jacket over and everything. Anyway, and she comes to return the jacket, and Lionel's just basically telling, like, "Look, we can't be together because my mother's just gonna take my time up regardless. She's not gonna let me live my life." He doesn't say that, but that's kind of what he's kind of insinuating. Anyway. So, they kind of like, then he's like, "No, I really like you." And so they kind of like do some stuff that night, as you can, probably figure out for yourself. And the next morning, Lyle walks into the his mom's bedroom and to check her bandages and stuff, and it's not looking good at all. That bite just looks slightly infected, just slightly. And of course, the mom is stuttering, and and of course it's Friday, and those the people from the club are supposed to be coming over to reward her, and she's supposed to wine and dine them pretty much. And she's like, I gotta get my dress. And like she's her speech is not even all there anymore, and she's already like fell really ill from this bite. And now you start to realize why uh, those people cut off the arm of that other dude so this wouldn't happen. They were trying to cut it off at the bite point. But now it's too late for her because the entire stuff's going. Anyway, she gets to the makeup cabinet, like, get my dress. And then, of course, she goes to put makeup on. Oh, just peels off some damn skin. And she's like, uh-oh. So, yeah, that didn't go over well. And Lionel basically goes and gets, like, some damn super glue and just, like, taps it on there and, like, puts it back on her face. Yeah, this is so weird. Oh, I love this movie. As we're going, and the whole dinner scene is just disgusting, disgusting. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Don't eat the pudding. He's like, I love this. Yeah, you wouldn't if you knew that was what was in there. I had to go past the whole food. Of all the things in this movie, I mean, because this movie is gory as hell. The dinner scene, for some reason, bothers me the most because the dude consumed that shit. Ugh. And then the whole thing with her ear falling in her pudding, and then she ate her own ear. Anyway, Paquita comes over and she's like, "Hey, what's going on with your mother? I heard she was sick and all this stuff." And of course, she brought her dog with her, and the dog goes up there to see what's going on, and he starts growling and stuff. And before they can make it up there, yeah, mother have eaten a dog. And Lionel pulls the tail out of her mouth like this, like so. Then that's when Lionel finally tells Paquita, "Go call the nurse, see if we can get her over here and figure out what's going on." And so the nurse come over, check up on her, and then as the nurse is checking up on her right now, she ends up passing away right at this moment here. The nurse is like, "There wasn't nothing you could have done." Blah, blah. And then yeah, so the nurse is like, he's like, "Your mother's dead, Lionel. There's nothing you could have done." And Lionel's just like looking over this, like, what is going on? It's like everything's just like falling apart around me here. And as he's just like kind of grasping what's happened, as you can see here, keep going. This part's she's trying to comfort him, and like no, and then the mom has come back to life. It just snapped her head backwards, basically barely holding her head on by the skin, and it essentially killing the nurse. And of course, the nurse, the zombie mom here, whatever you want to call her, has started attacking Lyle, and then of course the nurse being killed by her and getting the disease somehow is also trying to get to Lyle. And he gets them both into the basement here, as you can see. Let's see, go back a little bit and see the nurse with her head just kind of like hanging off of the back of her back. This whole time he's like, Makita is trying to like get the stuff together to go to the hospital. And he's like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And it's like, yeah, there's the nurse. Whew. Mama don't look so good no more. Anyway. So Makita comes down and he finally gets him into the basement, as you saw there. And uh, yeah, as soon as you get him into the basement, uh, he kind of has the radio up loud, so Paquita can't hear it, and sends her off on her way. And yeah, he's trying to hide it from her at this point. He basically just tells her, "Hey, my mom went to the hospital with a nurse. They're gone. You know, I'll take this stuff later. You can go on back to your house or whatever." And of course, that's not true. Anyway, he ends up going to like a taxidermist of some sort, or a veterinarian taxidermist, whatever. And it's like a foreigner, and he's like, "Hey, can you do you have any do you have any sedatives?" Anyway, and the taxidermist thought he was, you know, somebody that there to take him away, you know. And he's like, "Yeah, I got sedatives you could use." And so he gets the sedatives, and he gets back to the house and get back down into the garage. I mean that garage basement. And he's like, he's got got pads on and everything for cricket. And he's going down there with a big ass needle to stick it in their head so they'll, you know, stay calm, basically. So he gets the nurse in the eyeball, ejects her, as you see here. It's like, then her neck falls back. It's kind of gross. And of course, now he's got to get Mama. He keeps having these flashbacks throughout the whole thing of seeing somebody drowning. And he's been afraid of water for a long time as well, so because of that. Anyway, fast forward in here. Yeah. So at this point, yeah, Mama is trying to choke him out. He finally gets her with the needle as well. Takes her down. Anyway, so Lionel and Paquita are with the grandmother, like Paquita's grandmother, and they're looking over the cards again. She's like, "What do you mean he's surrounded?" Because one of the cards is like, "You're surrounded by darkness," and like he's starting to like, or starting to believe a little bit of the stuff that she's saying because of the crap that's going on with his mom. Anyway, as he goes to leave the store, Mom has escaped the house and somehow is making her way over to this grocery store and gets hit by a vehicle and projected into the grocery store. Well, Lyle sees her, and he just happened to have a syringe full of the. Yeah, you see her. She's like going down the road. She's like, "I'm trying to get to my boy." Anyway, yeah, she gets. So she coming right on through that door right there, getting hit by a vehicle, and Lionel just happened to have a syringe on him to go ahead and hit her real quick with, like, "Oh my god." He's like, "Don't look, don't look." So yeah. Moving on. We get to the funeral now because everybody knows that Vera Cosgrove is dead. And so Lionel doesn't want her waking up in the middle of her own funeral, you know, and all zombified and start eating folks at the funeral. So Lionel is in the mortuary, the funeral parlor, I guess you could say. Yeah, the parlor, trying where they fill her up with chemicals. And he's trying to give her that sedative again, which is like a horse tranquilizer, so she doesn't like wake up in the middle of her funeral. But he doesn't quite is not quite able to do it because in come the funeral people, the ones preparing the body, and he tries to hide. And it's none other than, you guessed it, Peter Jackson himself right there, one eating the sandwich. It's kind of funny looking. Oh my god. Eyeballs coming out and all this other stuff. Anyway, now we get to the father McRuder, who is overseeing the, the yeah, funeral and stuff, and he's talking about how he doesn't see Lionel anywhere, and then Lionel is fighting with Mom, and gets knocked through a door and comes out in front of everybody, and everybody's thinking like, oh, he just couldn't let her go, like he was like clinging on to his mom or something, but he was really trying to trank her. Anyway, so everybody thinks he's a freak of some sort, and so yeah, I mean that's what's going on here. Let's see. So yeah, that night he goes to the grave site, and I think he's I think his thought is Lionel's thought is he's trying to get to his mom and maybe cut her head off or something so she doesn't like raise from the grave. But when he gets there, there's a bunch of I guess gang members. I don't know what you would call them. Anyway, so they gain up on Lionel, beat him up, thinking he's being some weirdo, and then old dude goes over there, which is he goes over there to pee on the his mother's grave, and it doesn't work out too well for him. So he gets basically pulled down to the grave. Let's see if I can catch this one spot here, so you can see it for yourself. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see here, the mother has found her a new guy to play with, and yeah, he's like, ah, and then all of a sudden you see all this blood just gushing out here. We're like, oh my god, oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's such a cool looking effect. I'll be honest with you. I mean, anyway, so yeah, apparently, he dies, and then another one of the gangsters dies as well, and they turn into zombies. So now there's like three zombies all of a sudden in the graveyard, and into Father Magruder. He's come back. He's entered into the fray. It's like wow, 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 wow. Yeah, comes in like I kick ass for the Lord, and starts trying to kick the zombie ass, but then doesn't quite work out well for him either, because he hits that head up into the air, which is cool and everything, and then the head falls down and he gets him on the neck, and of course turns him into a zombie. And of course now he's having to trank all these zombies in the house, including Father Magruder, the gang member, the nurse, and the mother, all at the same time, trying to keep them sedated. He's got he's got horse trank in the pudding, and then the zombies are sitting there eating the pudding with the horse trank, and of course, because the nurse doesn't have a neck, he's kind of like shoving it down their windpipe by opening up her neck and sending it down there with a spoon. And that's when the uncle comes over. And the uncle's like, "Hey man, I know your mother left you everything. You ain't gonna leave me out like that too." So basically, he's there trying to hit him up for some money and maybe get something out of this whole deal with his sister passing away. Anyway, and Paquita spots Lionel, walking down the sidewalk, and sees he's like not looking good. Probably hasn't been sleeping, hasn't bathed in a while. Got this huge bottle of tranquilizer in his jacket. And she's just wondering, why don't you want to see me anymore? Shouldn't the question be, why do you have a huge bottle of tranquilizer in your jacket? Not why. I mean, you can clearly see that bottle. It's funny. Anyway, so he gets back, and apparently, if you've been watching, and I suggest anybody that's a fan of anything gory and just straight up zombie stuff in general, watch this movie. You will see that the Father Magruder was was getting a little bit of frisky with the nurse, and then they had a little baby here, as you can see. And like the baby's eating on a rat. So for some odd reason, because they had a baby, Lionel decides to take the baby out for a stroll in a stroller, as if that was a good idea of some sort. I don't understand what this scene is all about. It's funny. I give it that. And then, of course, the zombie kid's all grossy looking. Like, I'm gonna get the others and turn them, and it just like beats the shit out of this thing, and then walks off by putting it in a bag. He's like, it just tells everybody, oh, he's just hyperactive. Like, yeah, that probably wouldn't work today. Anyway, as you see now, he's got like a steel door on this on the basement, trying to, because that's how Mummy Dearest got out the first time when she broke through the wooden door. Anyway. So the uncle arrives and basically tries to blackmail him into letting him throw a party and get some of that money. And basically threatens to do like go get a lawyer and basically try to get money out of him because the mother left everything to him and he don't think he should have it all, basically. Anyway, so he gets his way and has a party and everything, and of course Paquita comes over. Paquita decides to try to move on without Lionel, and she goes out with that dude that was stocking the store earlier that day or earlier in that week, and she figures out that she doesn't really have anything in common with this guy whatsoever, and all he wants to talk about is football or rugby, whichever the one he's talking about. Anyway, so as they're walking by Lionel's house, she sees that there's like some little party going on, and she kind of like leaves him like standing there talking to himself, and he continues to move on. Anyway, let's go on here. Yeah, Paquita doesn't have a good, she doesn't like the uncle and ends up kicking the uncle in the nuts. And she gets thrown into the behind the basement door, and she goes down the stairs to see what's going on down there. And she sees all the zombies, and she's like, oh shit, what's going on? And Lionel's trying to explain to her, like, this is why I've been staying away from you. I didn't want you to be involved in this. And the whole surrounded by darkness thing is true. So anyway, she's like, you got to end this. You got to do something to end this. And so they find some poison down in the basement and decide to give them all the poison to finally just insert it into the brain, and maybe that would kill them. So he ends up giving a using a needle to inject them all with that poison that they found, and they bury them. As they bury them in the basement because that's what you do. Of course. Anyway, when they go back upstairs, the uncle kind of gives them a hard time and throws Lionel back down in the basement. And then as Lionel lands on the ground, he sees the poison that he gave the zombies and realizes it was actually animal stimulant. And the only reason it had a poison label on it is because it would be poison to a regular human. So it says not for human consumption. So he accidentally gave them animal stimulant, which ends up making them like freaking super zombies, and they come crashing through that metal steel door, not through it, but pushing it down. And they start ravaging everybody inside the party, including carrying this guy's skin off, as you can see here. Damn it. It's a pretty cool effect, to be honest with you. Anyway, the uncle's all pissed off. He don't know what to do. And there's zombies everywhere. The uncle makes his way out the window. And of course, Paquita, kind of holding her own, trying to help Lionel and everything. It was like, ooh. Anyway, so moving further along here, as you can see here, it's Lionel's trying to get out of the house. Can't quite make it. Oh, this is glad I stopped at this part. It's a cool shot right here. Anyway, they're all screaming and the zombies are coming in there, and then like this happens. Whoa! Right through her mouth. Super zombie. Anyway, so Paquita and this other girl, they're kind of like hiding out in the kitchen area, and oh, the guts come out of the gangster dude that Lionel's fighting with upstairs in the bathroom. And apparently the guts have a mind of their own. That is so weird. So the intestines of the guts, starts trying to mess with Lionel, like tying him up and grabbing his ankle and that kind of thing. Yeah. So the baby's messing with the uncle out there, and the uncle's like, "Let me in, let me in." So they finally let him in. They try to make amends or whatever, but the uncle still, as an ass that he is, so he's having to. He thinks he's going to have to do things on his own or whatever. Anyway, so they get out of there. They leave the uncle in the kitchen, and the uncle has gotten a couple butcher knives, and he actually does come off as pretty badass in this one spot in the movie where he just hacks up everything in his way with a couple of cleavers as they're coming through the door. Stack them up. Anyway, so Paquita's trying to make it upstairs to Lionel. Lionel this whole time has made it up into the attic, and he's trying to make his way outside. Uh, and in the attic, that's where he finds like a body in a trunk and some pictures of his dad with another woman. And he realizes the whole thing with him being scared of water is because he saw his dad being drowned by his mother when he was a kid. Talk about effed up in the head. Yeah, crazy shit. So that's why she has become such an overbearing mother, even after death. But at this point in the game, you haven't seen Mother come out of the basement yet. Because you will soon. You will soon. Anyway. So Lionel is actually able to make his way outside and get to the shed outside. Meanwhile, the uncle had made his way downstairs. Let's see. I get that spot where he goes downstairs. Yeah. So he's trying to capture he's trying to catch that zombie baby or whatever, and follows the zombie baby downstairs. Not yet, not yet. Anyway. Yeah. But at this moment, yeah, as you see, Lionel's tied up with that stupid ass intestines that has a mind of his own for some reason. And he's knocked out the window into the yard right here. And as that's happening, the uncle goes downstairs, and that's when Mama has risen and splits him in half. Well, doesn't split him in half really, just makes a mess of his body. Pulls his spine out from his, and like, it's all weird looking. You'll see it. Anyway, Paquita's trying to help her friend who they have survived this long so far, but then she has succumbed to a bite and is turning into one of the zombies as well. And as things are starting to get dire and not looking up, she's being surrounded. And remember, Lionel been knocked outside, and Lionel comes in with a freaking lawnmower attached to him. Strapped on. Says party's over, boys. And decides to make the lawnmower, put it to good use. Let's chop up some zombies. And that's where we get one of the, if not the bloodiest scene in a horror film or gore film or zombie film ever, is with a lawnmower and some zombies and a lot of red. He's like cuts a path through right here, right? He's like, oh shit. Like pulls the lawnmower up and just keeps going. Oh yes, the blood. Let the blood flow. Oh, I love this. One of the best scenes in this whole movie. Like he's still chopping them up, chop, 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 with the lawnmower. And then Paquita's in there with a freaking blender. I'll take on the small pieces. You'll take the big pieces. So yeah. It's so weird. He's like almost. He's almost losing his footing because it's like so thick with blood. The floor is just covered. And then yeah, there's the uncle's spine in his head, and she finally had enough with it and bust his head wide open over the counter. But yeah, she finally succumbs to her bites or whatever and turns into a zombie. And then about that time, that's when Lionel finally finished up. He finds the little stupid, you know, intestines that have been messing with him this whole time, and grinds the intestines up. But he took a star back from it first before he grinds it up. Anyway, grinds. And it's at this point that's when Mama comes out. And Mama is big, huge, and freaking got claws and everything. And she chases him up to the roof and says, like, come to Mama. As you see here, it's a gross looking mamma jamma. And Lionel finally confronts his mother. After doing what he did with the lawnmower and everything, he's finally become the alpha in the situation. He confronts his mother about the whole thing with killing his dad, and he had to watch the whole thing, and all the memories came flooding back like he knows everything now. And so he's like pissed off, but the mother being strung out, and like the mother like grabs him with some weird ass uh tentacles that come right out of her belly and basically like tries to pull him back into her womb. It's like when you think this movie can't get any weirder, it goes there. So yeah, so he uses that little star that he had around his neck, or that emblem or whatever, and hacks his way out of her, essentially killing her. You think, and basically the house is on fire anyway. Let's see. So yeah, you see right here, he punches his way out with that star emblem. Pretty much gutting her, and she falls down into the fire to burn, hopefully. And of course, the firemen show up right about then. And of course, the baby's on the loose still somewhere. Somewhere. Don't know where the baby is. And there's like a happy ending for Lionel and Paquita. One of my favorite movies. Yeah, as you can see, the baby escaped a little bit there. Got him a little teddy bear and everything too. So yeah, happy ending for Paquita and Lionel. And that is the end of this movie, as you could tell right here. And what do I think of this movie? This movie is a solid 100% for me. It always will be because it's one of the funniest, goriest, and just straight up fun movies to watch. Because every scene you can't help but wonder how the hell did he pull this off with nothing but practical effects. I mean, this is 1992. They didn't have CGI. I mean, you had CGI, but it wasn't, you know, it, the last Starfighter CGI. Basically, you didn't. So you had to use practical effects to do stuff like this. And just the insane amount of work that just went into the practical effects of this movie alone boggles my mind. So yes, full 100% on this movie. 5-star movie in my opinion. Thank you, Peter Jackson, for creating such an awesome thing, and then going on to create even better things like Lord of the Rings. So yes, that is my review of Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, and that is me, Deafrowe, out.